There's just not a lot of time left to be a little weak-handed person on Twitter that is, constantly like still calling for 12K since like June of 2022 for the Bitcoin price and saying things like, oh, but regulation and Gensler, and what about Mt. Gox? And, all these different things that either are like never even going to happen or it's not going to be as big of an issue as they think. What's going on, guys? Boi Crypto here with you again. And today we are going to talk about why, and my apologies in advance, you are too late to crypto. But never fear, there's a couple of strategies to still take advantage of this market. Hey guys, if you like strategic crypto information like this, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, hit the notification bell, and you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Boi Crypto. So yes, well, I do think it's good, obviously, that you're watching this video right now. And if you're into crypto right now, it's probably a good sign that you're there and not in legacy finance. We have to start remembering that we are on the verge of Bitcoin's fourth cycle. It's getting archaic at this point. Gone are the days where somebody could just take a month's worth of their salary, dump it into BTC, and be able to retire in a few years. It's just not going to happen anymore. Bitcoin is nothing more than an aggressive portion of a normie boomer's retirement portfolio at this point. So the idea of taking that extra $500 or whatever it may be that you have on the side and tossing it almost anywhere in crypto is a fallacy in terms of getting life-changing wealth down the road. You see, I think we need to lose this loser lottery winner mentality. I used to work at a convenience store when I was younger. It was definitely the worst job that I ever had. And many people came in buying these garbage lottery tickets, spending like $1 on a ticket, or even they spend $20 on one of these huge tickets, like these scratch-offs. Very rarely would I see somebody actually coming in to cash one in. That's what crypto still feels like to some people right now. And I feel that you're mistaken if you still think that you can treat the market that way. As much as I've talked about Zen on this channel, I think there was a lot of people that were misguided in the way that they got into Zen, thinking that they could put like a very small amount of money into it for exponential returns. While I still think the project is early and I'm not going to make any judgments, if that's your only crypto investment and you're just looking around doing these little dinks and dunks of small amounts of cash into these speculative products, I don't think you're necessarily going to make it. Now, none of this is financial advice, but for me personally, I need to be pushing all of my chips into the table right now. I realize the opportunity that we do still have, but remember, this market, the gains will wane at some point. It will not be up only forever. In my opinion, we are in the early stages of the next bull 4-year cycle for Bitcoin and crypto, and I think that 2023 will be a good accumulation year. So for me, I want to be putting everything that I can into the market right now, as long as we are around this $1 trillion global market cap. This is also why on my channel, the reason it's called Boi Crypto, is preaching a minimalist mentality in your finances and in your everyday life, so you have that extra dry powder on the side to invest in crypto. Because if you haven't made it to your ultimate goals yet, and if your goals are to have free time, do as you please, and live that self-sovereign lifestyle, there's no excuse. You need to be saving as much money as you can. We cannot any longer depend on a measly 3x in the next bull market from Bitcoin by simply throwing in a month's worth of salary. So this is why I personally practice these 3 things. Take them as recommendations if you will. You do it however you want to. It's not financial advice for you, but this is what I am doing based on the current market conditions, while realizing that the price of these assets is going to diminish over time. Number one for me, and I understand that there's going to be a wide range here, but you should be saving, in my opinion, at least 15%, if not 40% or higher of your net income every single month. I try to shoot more for that 40% number. It's going to vary, obviously, based on your income and maybe whatever mess you've already gotten yourself into in your life. But if you're not where you need to be, once again, and if your dream is to not answer to anybody, have freedom, be able to say what you want in a world where it seems like we are less able to every single day, there's no excuses. You can't be spending money on this everyday garbage. And if you have people in your life, significant other, friends, family, whatever, that don't align with this and are trying to force you away from saving money to that maniacal, in their opinion, behavior, then don't talk to them anymore, or at least don't talk to them about finances, because they're not going to get you to where your goals ultimately are. You know, make fun of Dave Ramsey all you want, and I sometimes do. But the guy said some amazing things, and one of them is, and I love this concept of, you need to live like no one else now so you can live like no one else later. And he was talking about eating rice and beans, getting yourself out of debt, which I'm more of a fan of Robert Kiyosaki, and using certain debt to your advantage. But you need to live like no one else in the present, so you're able to invest in something like cryptocurrency, the largest appreciating asset of all time, so later you can live in a whole other end of the spectrum like no one else. So you have to ask yourself the question, are you going to be somebody that the world makes decisions for every single day, or are you going to make the decisions on your own? And to me, there's no other option than to make my own decisions. So that means saving as much of my income as I can and pushing it into this market. So the second practice that I am doing right now is I am only investing in altcoins. That's all I have interest in. I hold no Bitcoin. I don't really see a reason that I would going forward. Like I said in the intro, it's not going to appreciate enough over time. You know, you look at the last bull market and we topped out at 69K. I doubt that we do much more than a 2x, if maybe a 3x off of that number in the next bull cycle, maybe sometime, late 2024, late 2025, something like that. And I know I'll catch some hate for this, but even Ethereum is going into its third cycle. Now, I'm a fan of Ethereum. I definitely hold Ethereum. It's one of the biggest parts of my portfolio, but the gains on it are going to lessen over time as well. I think that ETH is going to 20K or something like that in the next bull run. That's my hope. That's what would make sense to me. There's a lot of bullish things going on with Ethereum, but remember, that's going to slow down eventually as well. So you need to become more skillful at looking at what alts you need to get involved with. One of the principles that I like to use when looking into altcoins is I want them earlier, obviously, in their life cycle. We just mentioned how BTC is going into its fourth, ETH is going into its third. I prefer altcoins that are entering their second at the latest, or ideally their first cycle here. I want to invest in ones where I understand where they're going fundamentally, what the purpose of the product is, the community behind it, which we always talk about as one of the number one things to look out for when investing any cryptocurrency, is a community. And then probably lastly, what the tokenomics of it are. I also want to ask myself, is there a lot of competition for what this token is trying to do? And I mean serious competition. Is there somebody else out there duplicating what they're doing, making this thing redundant? Now, I'll leave those decisions up to you to find those tokens, but I think about last cycle, okay? How many layer ones can we possibly still have? Last cycle was really the layer one cycle. Solana, of course, was the big one at the beginning that started it all. We had Phantom, of course, do very well. Cardano in times past, and countless others. And we're already having more come out now. We have Aptos, another big money one, kind of like Solana, that's already come out. We have more on the way. So I don't think it's just going to be as simple as like, oh yeah, what's the best L1? Well, I'm certainly interested in something like Pulse Chain, of course, because that attracts a whole other user base of Hex users, and there's a maniacal community already around it. Every single L1 that gets created, I don't necessarily have interest in for the next bull cycle. That's why we need to find what the next narrative is going to be as we head into 2024 and 2025. There might be little hints of what that is right now. People are talking about AI. I don't think that's it, because you're already seeing it on very large channels. It's already been talked about for quite some time. But I think that theme will reveal itself, and we want to be involved with those products. So the final practice for me right now in taking advantage of the diminishing gains of crypto over time is I am aggressively buying right now. And by right now, I mean from November of 2022 through today. I have been putting lots of capital into the market. A good key, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the video, is take a look at the total market cap of crypto where we are at the moment. If we were anywhere near that 1 trillion mark, and I was buying a lot when it was under a trillion, it is a good time to be investing in cryptocurrency in terms of the returns on the table. There's just not a lot of time left to be a little weak-handed person on Twitter that is, constantly like still calling for 12K since like June of 2022 for the Bitcoin price and saying things like, oh, but regulation and Gensler, and what about Mt. Gox? And, all these different things that either are like never even going to happen or it's not going to be as big of an issue as they think. It's illogical. I understand that with some of the macro events going on, interest rates potentially still heightening, inflation not coming down as much as it should. I understand it's illogical, but if people are deciding, if the market, which is the most important thing, that's the answer, okay? That's what you need to look at. If the market is already deciding that they want to buy, well, that's what they're going to do. And that's why when you see Bitcoin move, as well as these other assets, especially alts with lower liquidity, they move very, very fast when people FOMO in. I'm not saying that I would YOLO my life savings at this very moment, although I think you could do a lot worse. But scaling into the market, whether it's via a DCA or looking at certain levels in the alts that you're interested in, I think right now you're clearly not still too late. And I want to make sure I get that point across too. While I am saying that, yes, over the next decade, we are going to see diminishing returns in crypto. At this very moment, you can still succeed. I just think that you need to put a serious amount of capital in, not like 1 month of savings or something like that. I personally would rather have like a year's worth of my salary to enter the market before a cycle begins. I know it's cliche, but we have to zoom out and gain perspective to realize where we are in the market right now. People are going to be praying for some of these prices again in a couple of years. I mean, and that's when you get called lucky. Whenever you take profits eventually and they're like, dude, you got like Pulse Chain and Pulse X on the bottom floor. You were able to buy Hex at like 1.5 cents last bear cycle. People will think that you were lucky. They don't realize what it is you went through, especially in a year like 2022. So that's what I'm doing. Round up your favorite 6 to 12 altcoins. I don't like to have any more than that. It becomes burdensome after that. I lose track of things. And I don't think it's really necessary. I don't think you need to be that diversified. I think that's a bit of a myth. So nail those down. I still hold ETH, even though I wasn't really critical of it, but even though it is entering its third cycle, I still think it's going to do well. And I like to have ETH as kind of a rudder in my portfolio. So there you go, guys. I hope these practices I discussed with you today helped. I'm not trying to necessarily scare anybody that is new or isn't as invested in crypto or hasn't been able to put a big clip of cash into the market yet. But I want to give you some perspective too, that this will not last forever. While it may, we may see these kind of gains for the next decade or so, that's a good amount of time to get something done. But don't think that you can just do these little scratch off lottery tickets into these little projects and just on a wing and a prayer hope they go somewhere. I would want to invest in this like I would have the stock market in years past, not expect uber insanely bullish returns, and when and if we get them, you're that much happier. So what do you guys think? Leave me some comments below. Did I miss anything here? How invested are you in the market if you want to disclose that? How much more runway do you think we have in terms of gains over the course of the next decade or so in crypto? I want to thank all of you guys for watching this video. If you do like the channel, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, hit the notification bell, and you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Boi Crypto. I want to once again thank all of you fellow broke boys for watching another one of these videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.